I'm John, and tonight I want answers about the midterm elections and Twitter. There's no stopping us now because we're live.
I'm John Thompson.
I'm John A. Vink.
I'm Keith Statenfield.
I'm Loretta Beavers.
I'm AJ Minnick.
I'm Jennifer Sim.
I'm Bobby Chastain. These stories tonight on John Wants Answers.
I'm John Thompson.
I'm John A. Vink.
John wants answers. John wants answers. Give John answers. Give John answers. John wants answers. John wants answers. Give John answers now.
Check your calendar. If it says November 10th, 2022, then we're live. Hey, tomorrow's Veterans Day.
Tomorrow is Veterans Day.
How are you going to celebrate?
I mean, in Australia, it's already Veterans Day.
In Canada, it'll be Remembrance Day. I think
Tomorrow.
in the Commonwealth tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually Veterans Day in Australia right now.
Probably, if anything, it's
I might have made
Remembrance
that
Day because it's the Commonwealth.
Oh, that's true. They have different holidays for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we have Boxing Day.
How are you doing? Okay, John?
I'm doing fine.
Because your queen died since the last show.
Long time ago.
No, I bet it's eating you up inside.
We saw it coming. We've been preparing for 20 years for this. So
Only 20 years?
well, a decent monarch lives to their 70s.
Really?
Yeah.
I think in the vast history of monarchs, 70 is probably old. I mean,
Well-
some monarchs don't make it to the end of the week.
King Charles, he
King Charles.
he's in 70s already, right?
Yeah,
He didn't have
yeah.
much time. We're preparing for his funeral too. Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be eaten up inside about that one. I mean, he might not even make it onto the money.
It's true. He's not on the Canadian money yet.
No, he's not.
I was in Canada, Queen everywhere still.
Like what happens? Like, how quickly does the money go bad? Is it like in that episode of MASH when like all the money went bad on Thursday?
I don't think so. I think if you have Queen money,
Sure.
you can spend it. Eventually, it'll just get recycled into King money.
That seems wrong. Like dead queen, everyone's debts are forgiven. Like everyone starts.
seems the opposite.
Everyone starts at zero again.
That seems the opposite. Like all your assets go to zero instead of all your debt goes to zero.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah. So if you're saying your money is worthless, not a good idea.
Well, you got to keep it in hard assets.
You gotta be get out of cash.
Like gold coins with a queen stamped on them, which would become worthless. You have to bring them back. You're like, here's my pile of gold coins with an ancient
Monarch.
white lady on
Yeah.
it. Please give me coins with an ancient white guy on it.
My guest tonight is Keith Statenfield. Welcome to the show, Keith.
Hey, it's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah.
We had to cancel a show because you went to a wedding on a Thursday.
Well, the wedding was on Saturday, but it involved travel.
Oh, okay. And then I was gone
Yeah.
on a cruise.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How was the cruise?
It was good. It was hot and humid.
Well, the humid part is almost always the case.
And you don't have humid without hot.
No, you can't have humid without hot. Like you can have a humid at any temperature. Just less humid.
Yeah. It'd be more dewy,
Yeah.
I guess.
I mean, technically, snow is just very humid and cold.
All right.
Well, the show's over.
Hey, have you got your bird buddy yet?
I did. I took it to my mother's house, who now lives in Mountain View.
She
And
moved?
I hung it up. Well, they're out here for a while. Yeah.
Have
They're still here.
Have they moved or they're just
They're
long
probably
term?
going to be here forever
Oh.
because my dad's health isn't great.
Do they have to get a visa?
No.
Okay.
No, we have Wisconsin and California have a reciprocity agreement.
Oh, okay. Good,
Yeah,
good.
It's nice.
So
But I
those-
went up there and my mom said it fell.
Oh.
And it looks like a squirrel chewed through the rope. So
Oh,
I have to go
yeah,
back
hanging-
with a metal
You gotta hang
chain
from a
to
rope?
hang it from.
Why would the
doesn't
squirrel be interested in chewing the squirrel?
Squirrels are assholes. Like they have all day to think of shit.
For those of you who don't know, the Bird Buddy
Bird Buddy?
It was like a
It's a Kickstarter.
Kickstarter of it's a bird feeder with a
Yes.
camera inside it.
Yes.
When a
and
bird,
AI.
so a bird comes, eats some
Yes.
seeds,
Sure.
camera takes a picture,
Yes.
and it texts you with what kind of bird it is.
Yeah, it's never worked.
It's never worked.
No. Like I hung it up, and it was like a week before the birds found it.
Oh, okay.
and I got the solar roof,
That's what I got.
and it's not working.
Oh.
I think I gotta make sure it gets sun.
I got my Bird Buddy,
Okay.
but still in the box.
Oh.
So I got it yesterday, and I prepared for tonight's
Okay.
presentation.
Well, good luck.
So,
I got the app on my phone. But we've gotten 0 bird pictures.
and you only have one at your mom's house,
Yeah.
and you have one for your house.
No.
Oh.
No. There's nowhere near enough room in that bird feeder for my house. Like, there's not a lot of space for bird food in there. Like, my birds go through a thing every 4 days of food.
Okay.
Like, I have a box show up
You know,
with
they can-
40 pounds of bird seed in it every month.
They can like just eat the bird feed, and then like not eat for a while until you refill it. Like it's not your job to keep all the birds alive in your neighborhood.
Okay.
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 Anyways, let's get on to our first topic: midterm elections.
How'd that guy still alive?
Yeah. Why are these elections that we just had on Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
Why are they called midterms?
Because we have a president,
Yes.
and the president has terms. You're elected president. You serve 4 years,
Yeah.
one term. You might be eligible to run for election again. That'd be a second 4-year term. Then you can't run for president again.
No. 2 terms. That's
2
it.
terms max.
Is that in the Constitution?
Now it is.
Okay. Not in day one.
Not on day one. No, we added it in
But
the
when some guy
1950s.
ran for a 3rd time, they're like, we need to change things.
Yeah, was it a 3rd or 4th?
I think it was a 3rd.
He was elected 4.
It was
He
a
died like 9 months into that 4th term.
they had a gentleman's agreement that a president only
George
run
Washington only served 2 terms, and no one after that did. Although that's what they teach you. It turns out there were a couple guys that tried, that kind of
really?
wanted to have more.
Did they
than
actually
2 terms.
run but not win?
Teddy Roosevelt ran for what would have been, I think, a 3rd term. And there were other folks that I think tried to get states to nominate them and didn't.
Did the vice president have to get involved in like change the
there
electors?
were- There were very few riots or.
Oh.
Yeah.
And the Capitol was not stormed?
Capitol was not ransacked. 1812 to
That was us.
1920.
Sorry.
Yeah.
That was us.
Yeah, we haven't forgotten. But they're called midterms because they are the election that is 2 years into a presidential term.
Okay.
It is mid-presidential term.
Why don't we have elections like every quarter of the term? How come only it's midterm?
Well, because then people would serve like 1 year. That's not great.
When midterms, what are we voting for? Not for president.
The entire House of Representatives gets
Okay.
reelected every 2 years. So all 435 members of the House of Representatives were just up for election or reelection.
And then the Senate is every
And
6
the
years.
Senate serves 6-year terms, and so those are staggered.
So it's like 1/3
A
every.
third, a third, a third. Except in those rare circumstances when someone dies or resigns, and then someone runs for a partial term.
When someone dies during their term, first the governor assigns somebody.
I think in most states, the governor, probably with the consent of the legislature, but maybe not, is able to appoint a replacement. But that person generally serves until the next
Midterm or term.
midterm or full term election, until the
Okay.
next.
So in California, this happened.
Yes, it did. Alex Padilla
Was assigned
was
because
appointed
Kamala Harris.
to the Senate because Kamala Harris left the Senate to become a member of the Senate and vice president.
Yes. So then he was assigned at the end
And-
of 2020,
Was it that late?
because 2022 now is our first election we've had.
Right, but I think he was appointed pretty quickly because Kamala left on, on day one of.
Was it-
She'd already been elected vice president. She
Was it January 20th that she would have been?
Probably resigned shortly before that, but she cannot be both a senator and you can't be in the legislative and executive branch at the same time.
No.
So she had to have resigned from the Senate before January 20th.
Okay. Because I noticed when we voted, we had to vote for Alex Padilla twice.
We didn't have to,
Well, it was
but
on the
you
ballot
were
twice.
able to vote for him twice.
And
I mean, you could have written him in for other things too.
one was to complete the current term
Current term.
and then start the next term, I guess, right?
Right. And the current term is like 7 weeks.
And the results of both of those were very close.
They were, yeah.
But they weren't exact. They were like
no.
0.1% off.
Yeah, some people were like, did I just vote for this guy? I mean, he's doing an okay job. I think he could do this job for 7 weeks. But I don't know if he could do it for 6 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's...
So the results of these midterms are still being counted.
They are.
Is this like longer than usual? Or
No,
this
it always takes a while.
it always takes a week or something?
Yeah, it depends.
I guess
Depends how close they are.
I mean some
I mean, there are
races-
no official results yet.
So all the results we've seen are like news organizations predicting the winner.
Yes. Or
Okay.
other organizations. I mean, in many cases, candidates have conceded.
Okay.
They've said, I accept that I am not the winner of this race.
But
But
conceding
they
is
are,
not
but conceded doesn't matter.
right.
I mean, at some point, the registrar of voters in each state or county or wherever finishes tallying the votes and then officially certifies the results.
Is that the registrar or the Secretary of State?
Well, I think it depends. Like, we have county elections as well. The registrar of elections for the county of Santa Clara certifies the elections in this county.
Okay.
And I'm sure the register certifies the number of votes for the federal and state offices of the voters in their county. And then presumably for statewide offices, the Secretary of State in California adds up, the members of each legislative district for each county they were voted in and certifies those totals. And the same for congressional districts and in presidential years. Presumably they certify who the electors that go to electoral college are.
Okay. Why do we have so much attention on the state of Georgia results? Was it particularly
we
close?
didn't just have Georgia. There was a lot of attention on Pennsylvania.
Yeah. But
There
some
was
states have a lot more
less,
attention
but
than
some
others.
attention on Ohio with Vance versus.
Is that because they were
Ryan.
swing states?
I think it's because they were thought to be closer elections. Georgia has pretty reliably voted Republican for quite a while.
Now, last
And
election
2
they
years ago,
didn't.
they had 2 Senate elections up again because they had one seat was up, and they had a resignation, or I believe a resignation. So 2 years ago they had 2 elections, and the Democrats won both of those elections, which was which was considered unusual. It's why the Senate is divided 50-50 for the last 2 years.
Right.
That wasn't decided until the 2 Georgia elections were certified. And one of them, I think, at least went to a runoff.
I think the one that's currently at runoff this year it was
Had a
exact
runoff.
same runoff from last time, right?
I believe that's the case. And this election in Georgia is going to a runoff. And I think we focused on Georgia because it's unexpected for a Democrat to win in Georgia. And Herschel Walker as a candidate was not a great candidate and did a
Right.
lot of things that attracted attention and controversy. California had a senator up. I don't think anyone talked about
No,
who
no.
was running. It was
mean,
never
Well, Alex Padilla was running, and some other guy.
against. Yeah.
Some other guy. Some guy who wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does every state have runoff elections, or it depends state by
no,
state?
almost no states have runoff elections.
Okay.
Georgia is an outlier in that respect. Georgia says you have to get a majority to win. California, you can win with a minority.
Uh-huh.
You have to have the candidate with the most votes wins.
So if they had like ranked choice voting in Georgia, they wouldn't have this problem because they could just take off the lower.
Depending on the ranked choice system, but if they had ranked choice, and if you voted, this is my number one choice, this is my number two choice, and if they did eliminations, it is likely that one candidate would exceed 50%.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to happen. You could have three candidates running. They could be, none of them could have anything to do with each other, and people could say, I'm only going to vote for this guy. I'm not going to rank anyone 2 or 3. And if 3 groups of people, divvied up their votes, you could have no one achieving a majority.
So if no one got a majority in Georgia, that means there must have been a third candidate.
There was
who got
a
very
libertarian
few.
candidate who got around 2% of the vote.
Okay, so he siphoned. The third candidate always makes it like a runoff necessary.
Not always. I mean, if you go back before 2 years from now, right? I mean, we say 3 candidates. There are probably 5 or 6 candidates running for Senate in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
Just like we had, I think 6 candidates running for Senate.
We
And
did.
You've never heard of 5 of the 6 of them.
Right.
Because, there's probably a peace and freedom party, and there's probably American freedom. I mean, there are other political parties in the state.
Okay.
And they have very low membership, and they do not get significant fractions. I'm certain there was a libertarian candidate
Okay.
for many offices in California.
So the runoff will only be between the top 2 candidates?
In Georgia, the runoff was between the top 2 vote getters.
Okay. And so in a very rare situation, they'd both get 50% exactly. But it's unlikely.
They could probably divide the vote exactly. I doubt they'd have another runoff. They might have a rule that says in a tie, you draw cards from a deck, and the person with a higher face card wins.
Probably the governor would pick, right?
No, it's probably random.
You think?
But
Now they had a governor race.
you had
And
Kemp
then-
versus
and Kemp
Abrams.
won again.
And Kemp won by a
against-
significant margin,
Okay.
a much higher margin than last time.
Why was this election described as the end of democracy?
Oh, I don't know if you've heard, but democracy is ending.
It's ending.
Yeah. It had a good run, but a lot of the flaws of democracy have been revealed in the last 6 or 7 years. Primarily, we let people vote, and it turns out a lot of people are dumb.
So I heard there's a lot of people running for governor and secretary of state were election deniers.
There are a non-zero number of what I would call election integrity deniers running.
Right. Did a lot of them get elected? Or
Not a lot. I think 2 so far. We don't know Arizona yet.
well, I
They've
heard
got a hardcore.
Arizona, the governor is going to the non-election denier.
But it's not done yet.
Yeah,
They're still
yeah.
counting.
Still counting.
I think the Secretary of State in Arizona is also the
What if we had
denying guy.
a secretary of state election denier gets elected?
Yeah.
Now, what powers do they have to change the results of the election?
In practice, they have no absolute powers to change the results, but they do have the ability to influence the procedures that the next election is going to have. And by influencing the procedures, you might change who is able to easily vote. You could say, we are not allowing, we're not going to allow places to have ballot drop boxes where you can put your ballot in a box. If the density of the city is more than one person every quarter mile. Because we agree, out there in rural areas, you know, if you have to drive 45 minutes into town, you got to drive 45 minutes into town. The registrar of voters probably closed by then, so they ought to have a drop box so that they can vote. But if you live in a nice, dense city, you can clearly get to the registrar of voters office in downtown. It's just 3 45-minute bus rides away. And you can get there between 9:30 and 3:30. So no ballot drop boxes for cities.
You
And that
city
would-
dweller who tends to vote Democrat.
In some way, who even knows? Who could possibly know? But I mean, in various ways, you could change the number of votes that people are able to cast. Not individually. You probably can't deny any individual person to do something to make sure they can't vote.
Could they say this county voted Democrat, and that sounds suspicious to me, so I'm going to ignore this county's results? Could the Secretary of State do that?
I don't know if they could ignore them, but you know, there are administrators up and down every organization, and you could appoint people that were better or worse or more or less interested in doing their jobs. You know, Santa Clara for many years had a pretty popular program where they encouraged people to vote, and they sent a lot of mail out to make sure people knew where they could vote and what hours they could vote. And that probably increased voter turnout because there's some number of people that might not have known that, you know, I can just go to the library and cast my ballot because it turns out I'm not going to be in town on election day.
When I started voting, they told me the school, which was 6 doors from my house, was my voting place.
Yeah,
So I, got up, 9 a.m.
sure.
By 9:04, I was there.
Yeah,
Walked right in, no problem, filled out a ballot, put in the box.
yeah.
And then I see on TV people in like Florida are waiting 6 hours in line to vote.
Yeah.
How is that?
Some states have more or fewer places to vote. When I was in Wisconsin, my polling place was at the university.
Where you
And-
attended?
Where I attended. Public university, downtown. And, they would have 3 voting machines. Wisconsin had these huge voting machines with this huge lever. It was great because you'd go into this little thing and you'd pull the lever. It would make a very satisfying thunk noise as this curtain closed behind you. And then you'd do these little levers. You'd turn them down and then you'd be all happy. And then you'd pull the lever back and it would again make this great, "You voted," thunk. And the curtain would open behind you, and it felt like a production. Like
Wow.
it felt like you'd actually accomplished something. But when you got 3 voting machines in Union Hall,
Might take a while.
and you got 10,000 students on campus, takes a while to get through them. And the notion of, vote by mail, you had to have a reason. I mean, it's only the last couple of years that California has allowed pretty liberal vote by mail.
I think
you
it
used
was-
to
everyone
have
got
to
a ballot in the mail.
physically. Well, no, you got a booklet in the mail, and you went to the polling place, and there they handed you your ballot on election day.
Oh, this year.
This year everyone gets a ballot
Yeah,
in the mail.
yeah.
But you go back 15, 20 years,
Okay. You got a sample ballot.
you got a sample ballot. You had to go to your polling place on election day.
Right?
Unless you had thought beforehand to request an absentee ballot. I mean, some states do not allow you to request an absentee ballot except for an approved reason. Like, I'm going to be out of state on election day for business.
I was in Canada this year for election day.
Well,
But I voted by mail.
You probably shouldn't have been able to vote then.
Oh.
Yeah. We
Oops.
remember 1812.
Did I do a voter fraud? Did I-
No, you didn't. But you shouldn't have voted. You should have been in Canada and felt bad about trying to burn our capital.
I didn't. Did the crazies get reelected?
A couple of them.
And by the crazies, I mean,
MTG got reelected.
she did?
Yeah. MTG did. Boebert is still close, although she's now ahead.
Oh, she's still ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
But by like 700 votes.
Oh, it's not much.
No, it's not much. No,
Okay.
she was behind until today.
And then Matt Gaetz, another crazy one.
I believe he got reelected.
No.
But Madison Cawthorn lost. He lost in the primary.
He lost the primaries. So
Yeah.
He's gone.
He lost the general too.
Well, he didn't make it to the general, did he?
He could have been a write-in.
And the new Congress starts when?
January 4th?
January 4th. So he's still in till January 4th.
Till January 4th.
This means that the Liz Cheney is out January 4th,
January
which
3rd,
means that they got to finish their
They do.
January
They
6th
almost
thing.
certainly. Well, there's still I mean, the Republicans don't have 218 elected representatives yet.
So if they only get 217 and we get 219,
Then
it can continue.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they would have to renew the committee regardless.
Okay.
Because acts of Congress that aren't legislation expire at the end of that session of Congress.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that was midterm elections.
Midterm elections.
And now, next topic, Twitter.
Man, if I thought elections were a shit show.
Man.
Remember how for a long time brain surgeon made you go like, brain surgeons are smart? Now, you're like, billionaires. Are billionaires smart?
No.
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 No. We have, all you need is one counterexample. And we got a heck of a counterexample.
So Elon Musk,
Elon Musk,
noted billionaire.
noted billionaire. World's richest person occasionally.
Oh, okay.
Like not just like rich. Like, here's a dictionary picture of a rich guy.
Does he have a monocle?
Some years it's Elon Musk.
He needs a top hat and a monocle, right?
Okay.
That's the Monopoly version of
Yeah.
billionaire. Okay. So he bought Twitter.
$44 billion.
$44 billion.
Well, he didn't pay 44.
He didn't?
No.
What did he pay?
I don't know if we know exactly what he paid. But some people that owned Twitter agreed to stay owning part of Twitter after it ceased to be a public company.
Really?
Yeah. And some other people chipped in money and are part owners of Twitter. Like the government of Saudi Arabia chipped in a couple $2 billion.
All right.
And
Well, I'm totally only have 2 minutes to
talk
about
fast.
this. Okay. Do you think it started out as a prank that went bad?
I think it started as a bad idea that went bad.
Okay.
I mean, maybe it was a prank, maybe not.
I
He
think
was like, hey, I could buy Twitter. I'm a billionaire.
maybe he got pranked, and then he had to go through with it because the SEC would.
And not because Twitter, because the Supreme Court of the blank court of Delaware was
Okay.
like, you signed an agreement.
Oh.
We're allowed to make you pay $44 billion for Twitter. That's what it says in this piece of paper that says Elon Musk at the bottom.
So, will the blue check marks turn things around?
No.
So right now they're losing $4 million a day.
Well, it's no, they're not.
They're not?
Who knows?
I heard that's a number they've given.
That was a number someone said.
So he spent a lot of money to buy a company that
Spent a
loses
lot of money to buy. Spent a lot of money to buy a company that was not terribly profitable.
Now the blue check mark used to mean that this person is real and verified.
Mostly, it meant Twitter had some assurances that the person had demonstrated to Twitter that they were who they claimed to be.
Does this mean that anybody with $8 a month can now just buy that checkbox?
Yes.
Without being verified?
Yes, for 36 hours in, apparently anyone can spend $8 and get a thing because there are now 17 popes.
I'm going to start my own Twitter. to
Okay.
compete. What should I call it?
John Twer.